Hello, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. I have been away for a while. I haven't really been able to upload a video in a while because I've been very, very busy. For me now, it is exam season, and so at the beginning of May, I went on vacation with my sister, and then after that, I got really busy with my internship that I'm doing, and at the same time, I've been studying for exams, and I have some computer programming projects that I'm working on. It's very confusing to me, so I've been struggling with that. But hopefully my exam season will be over next month. So in the meantime, I have thunderstorms. I have yet to update you about my reading for April and May. So that is what we're going to do today. I definitely don't remember all the details for like what I thought of these books. So I'm gonna do my best. And I have some parts of it written down in my reading journal, but then some parts I still have left blank. So we'll see how this goes. So in the month of April, I read 6 books. 3 were fantasy, 2 were horror, 1 was sci-fi, 3 were physical, 2 were audio, 2 were ebooks, and 1 was audio. The total amount of pages was 1,704. The audio was only 6 hours and 45 minutes. And the average stars was 3.92, which is not that bad. Not that bad. So, the first thing that I finished reading in April was The Brilliant Death by Amy Rose Capetta. I gave this a 3.5 stars. I think it was really nice in the way that it had a story to tell that was very queer and very much about gender fluidity as well. So this is kind of like a fantasy romance in a way, but it's YA. And this is about a daughter in a royal family. The sons that are next in line get summoned to the capital in order for them to have to like make an agreement with the man who is in power and wants to stay in power. The main character is the daughter, and she has an older brother and a younger brother, but she doesn't think that either of them are fit to sort of be the head of the family, and so she kind of takes that on as her responsibility, and she has these powers where she can turn people into objects. And then she meets someone else who can shapeshift themselves. And so they want to kind of learn from the other person how to do that for themselves so that they can disguise themselves as their brother to answer the summons. And ultimately, the romance is between the little shapeshifter and the main character. I thought they were really sweet characters together. I like the motive of the main character. There wasn't anything necessarily like all that about this book, but it wasn't bad either. I thought the writing was pretty, and the plot was pretty engaging, and ultimately I really liked the characters, mostly like the other shapeshifting character. I think this is a duology, so I definitely would be interested in continuing and finishing the last book just to see how things wrapped up, though I don't necessarily remember how the last one ended, but I would be interested in continuing. And the next book that I finished was God Killer by Hannah Kaner, and I gave this one 4 stars. And I had no idea that there was so much representation in this book. It's very heavy on queer and disability representation, which was a nice little extra piece into the whole story because it's done very naturally. So I really liked how that added a lot more dimension to the story, and it made it feel much more real in a sense, where the main character was like found her own sort of found family and community, and it was people that were very similar to her in a way, and I loved her found family. I really wish we had more time with them. Hopefully there will be in the next book because I love them as characters and I love their whole dynamic together. But yeah, other than the side characters, I love the main characters as well. I'm not the biggest fan of the little god, but I really do like Elo, and I think the plot is definitely I think the plot is very intriguing and engaging, especially how all of them have their own sort of storylines and their own motives and connections with the gods in their own ways. I'm not really going to go into giving the synopsis for a lot of these, but I will try my best, I guess, to summarize the important parts. There are 3 characters that all come together into trying to find a cure for how to kind of like find a cure in a sense for this little girl that is attached to a little god, and they want to be free of each other, and so they're on this little quest together to figure that out. Ultimately, I thought this was a really fast read, and it was highly entertaining, and I really love Kissin's character. I think she's my favorite so far. I love Elo's character. I loved how there was literally a god for every single little thing, which you wouldn't necessarily expect or have never really seen done in a story before. The end was definitely intriguing, and you can see how that sets up for the next story. I don't know how that's gonna go, but I definitely will pick up the next book. So yeah, I'm not sure if I have anything else to add for that, but I really, really enjoyed it. Bro, this storm is raging. Um, Damn, can you see this? The next thing I finished in April was The Three Body Problem. And I vlogged a bit about this in one of my last videos. And again, like, this book was just genius in, like, all senses of the word. The way that this explained all of the science in a way that was relatively, like, digestible for you to understand and for you to put the pieces together, and the way that the story was explained in the very, very end for you to then go back and put the pieces together, genius. I am so intrigued to see where the next book goes because, like, I'm not sure if there's going to be a time skip or if it's going to go directly off of where this ended or how the next book is going to progress. But I hear that it gets better and that it gets very much more fast paced, that this was obviously a lot of setup. This was a lot of getting to know the history, which I really appreciated. And I think I definitely have a deeper appreciation for this in the sense that I have a lot more, like, background knowledge that I studied dictators in my history class in high school, and so I learned all about China and the Cultural Revolution, and so I kind of already had, you know, a sort of sense of the culture. And I'm also a big science nerd, and so I'm not as well versed in physics, but the rest of the science and basic, like, the rest of the science and kind of being able to understand the core parts of it to then understand the bigger picture and the concepts, like, I have a pretty good basis in the sciences so that it made more sense to me than probably I would imagine it would to other people who don't have as strong of a science basis. But anyways, yeah, this was definitely more of a plot driven story than a character driven story. But at the same time, I really did like the characters. I felt that they were pretty dynamic in the sense that they had their own personalities, even though I've seen reviews that say the opposite and say that they don't really have personalities or that they're very cold and that maybe it's just a cultural difference sort of thing. But for me personally, I didn't really feel that way. I mean, the fact that we are reading the thoughts of these characters shows how they do feel, shows how they are going through their emotions in a sense of, like, they're thinking through their emotions and trying to work through them rather than expressing them in a way, if that makes sense. It definitely did take me a while to get through this, mostly just because I was, like, really busy, but this was, I had so much fun with this book. Like, it was so enjoyable for me to read. And then I lent this to a friend and he read it within the week, and then I was, like, looking back through all of my passages so that we can, like, talk about it. And I just had so much fun going back and sort of reading certain passages or getting, like, refamiliarizing myself with the experience that I had while reading this. I don't know. I loved it. And you will definitely be seeing more from this book because I have more content planned around this book. So I hope you aren't tired of me because I'm not going to shut up about it. So the next thing that I finished was You Let Me In by Camilla Bruce. And this was very enjoyable. Again, I talked about this in my vlog, but this so I'm not going to go into as much detail, but I really enjoyed this. I think this was very dark and gritty and kind of ambiguous in a sense because we're getting this point of view from a character that everyone else thinks is unstable. And everybody else thinks that she's going mad, that she's crazy, that she's seeing things, that she's been making things up her whole life. And but she's trying to tell her story and she's trying to tell the things that she's trying to tell it how it is from her own experiences, but everybody else is labeling her as something else. And so we are going through her experiences and her story and talking to a therapist that has written a book about her. And we are getting to know the Fae that she has grown up with, in a sense. And it does kind of leave a bit of ambiguity in terms of the fact that she's basically like an unreliable narrator. And she's telling this story to her niece and nephew in order for them to get her inheritance. And I really enjoyed the story. I thought it was very compulsive. I got through this really, really fast. Oh, it says I took like a month to read it, but it definitely felt like less than that. What? I would put this down for long periods of time, but when I picked it up, I would read like way too much in one go. And I just wanted to continue to savor it, you know? Like I wanted to continue with this story that like I didn't want to put it like I didn't pick it up because I didn't want to put it down, if that makes sense. But anyways, yes, it's short. You could definitely get through it in a shorter time if you would like to. I would definitely recommend it. And I think the writing is beautiful. It has very pretty, like very, very pretty prose, but like it's not over, like they don't, but it's not overdone. The next book I finished was Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. And I'm not gonna lie. Oh, I forgot to say the ratings. I gave this a 4.5. I gave this one a 3.5, and this a 3. I'm not gonna lie, this was disappointing. This was way too ambiguous for me. I am not an ambiguous person. You know, I went into this wanting answers, and I went out of it having way more questions. And it just wasn't. I was constantly going through feeling like, okay, we're getting close to the end. But where are the answers? What happened? Like, please, just for the love of God, tell me what the fuck happened. And then when it was explained, like they really, like nothing was explained. I'm sorry. I wanted to love it. I really wanted to love it, but I was expecting so much more. I was expecting more claustrophobia. I was expecting horror. I was expecting cosmic, like, dread. And this was definitely more grief, of course. This is titled pretty much as a grief horror. And of course that part is scary. That part is extremely scary. And and I know I've heard those reviews about it before that this is a grief horror, and I got that, but like I thought that there would be more horror parts to it, and or any explanation at all. But we like barely got a glimpse of it. Um so I don't know. Like the fact that it is grief horror, I wanted to be more devastated. You know, like I wanted to cry my eyes out, but it just didn't have that effect on me for some reason. Because I wanted, if not to be scared, because no horror has really been hitting the spot for me lately, apparently. If I couldn't be scared, I wanted to be sad. Yes, this definitely did make me sad, and the ending, but like it didn't have as big of an impact on me in terms of like making me bawl, unfortunately. The writing was all right. I feel like it definitely did like skip around, or like it skipped through parts that like I really just wanted the details of it, because ultimately this is like a retrospective exploration of these wives and their story and like their love story. I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna say I didn't like it. I enjoyed it, but I didn't get what I wanted out of it. But other than that, you know, like the writing, it definitely did gloss over some parts where like it skipped through parts because a lot of this was written in flashbacks, and so I feel like again, I just was left with so many more questions that it would go through flashbacks and then just cut, and I wanted a lot more. I'm getting repetitive. Sorry. After that, we have the savior of the month. We have my book of the month. Yes, it even surpassed this. I read The Blood of the Lion by C.D. McKenna, and I will not shut up about this. It is an indie fantasy, and ultimately at this point, this is the first indie book that I've read, and I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. And oh my god. Thank you to Covers with Cassidy for this recommendation, because this was in the Spiffbo competition last year. It wasn't a finalist, but it was like a semi-finalist, I think, or at least it was part of her team that she was reading this. And so it's been on my TBR for more than a year, but I'm so glad that I read this now, because it was like exactly what I wanted. This is the start of a saga, so it's like gonna be a multi-book series, and I am so happy to hear that, because this has like everything that you want, every sort of like fantasy trope that you want, done in a really gripping way, where we follow 3 different characters. We have the king of a kingdom who is being plagued by a sickness of some kind, and also being threatened by the king of death. We have Cyrus, who is the first dragon rider in a long time, since he has discovered a dragon egg somewhere, I don't quite remember, and he is kind of on an adventure to get out of the country and to explore the new worlds beyond the country that he's from, in order to, I guess, get answers about dragons. And then we have Syra? No, Cyrus? Syrah? I forgot. I'll put her name here. I'm sorry. Who has these companions who are the guardians of the underworld, while who's like protecting her while she carries a dagger that's connected to the underworld. And she has questions, and then things go wrong, and then more questions, and betrayal, and I'm sorry, pick this book up. Pick this book up. I'm going to be recommending this to literally anyone who has any interest in fantasy whatsoever, because this deserves way more hype. This literally has less than 100 ratings on Goodreads. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I need the second book. The second book is out. The third book just came out or is coming out next month, this month, sometime. And I'm extremely, I want to binge it, but also I don't want to wait a whole another year. And that's the problem, isn't it? Anyways, the writing is really good. It is compulsive. It is full of world building and description and starting to really like get to know the characters and their motives. And it's just like those reminders of why I love fantasy and why I love epic fantasy, because like this is just the beginning, and I've been craving getting into something that I will have like such a long-term attachment to. And don't come at me, because I know I'm still supposed to start The Way of Kings, okay? I may or may not have started that yet, but don't come at me, okay? I know that's on the horizon. I know. The Blood of the Lion. Pick it up. Go pick it up. Go order it right now. Support your indie authors. Leave a good review. I'm about to type up all of my reviews onto Goodreads, and so that these books that deserve more hype will get the hype that they deserve, you know? I almost forgot to take you through my favorites of the month, so I'm going to go through 6 different categories of things that I enjoyed in April. So my favorite book was Blood of the Lion, obviously, with The Three Body Problem being a close second. And then my favorite TV show was a new anime series that's been coming out called Kaiju Number 8. It just keeps on getting better. It is so good. The soundtrack, amazing. Um, my favorite movie, I really did not watch a lot of movies. I don't really watch a lot of movies in general, but I know at the start of April, I watched Kung Fu Panda 4, and it was so good. Like, I had no idea there was going to be a new one. And I just saw, I guess, the advertisement for it. I'm like, okay, amazing. Like, this looks great, and it was great. So go watch that. Um, then my favorite song of the month. This, I'm not sure, because there was a lot to choose from. I've been trying to find new music and to branch out into a lot of different genres that I enjoy, like more R&B, kind of like funky rap, like I don't know, something different. And so I know the things that stood out to me in April was West Savannah by Isaiah Rashad and Orange Blossoms by Goldford. There was a new album by See You Space Cowboy that I had on repeat as well, especially these songs. Um, and The Plot in You has had recent releases that they've been banging. They have been banging. So those are some of the songs that were present within April. Some things that have stood out to me, I'm gonna like put screenshots around. My highlight for the month was going to a concert. I saw, this isn't gonna mean anything if you don't like hardcore music, but if you do like, if you are into deathcore at all, I saw Spite, Boundaries, Body Snatcher, and Mouth for War, and it was such an amazing experience. I hadn't been to a concert in over a year now, I think, but I saw all my friends, all my homies that I usually see at the scene, and I got to meet members from all of the bands, and I just love the scene. And I love the small venues that we're at, because everyone feels like close, and we get to meet the members, and you'll always see someone that you've seen before, and you'll make friends with people, and I love it. Another highlight was going for a weekend to visit one of my friends in a town that's a couple hours away, and we had a really chill, like, whole get together with meeting more of her friends and everything. And then my goal for the next coming month was to study, because, of course, as you know, exams. And also to just like slow down and reconnect with myself and with nature if the weather would permit. And yeah, I don't know, kind of just like taking care of listening to my body and being able to find time for whatever hobbies that I have. I guess that's just like a goal in general. But yeah, so that's my wrap up for the month. Thank you so much for sticking with me, for tuning in, for listening to me rant about the books that I read in April. I hope you had a good time and that you'll come back, that you'll subscribe to the channel, maybe leave a like, maybe leave a little comment, leave a lion emoji, because Blood of the Lion was my favorite book of the month. You can tell me your favorite book of the month, or just what your favorite spring activity has been. I'll be back real soon with my May wrap up, and I hope you tune in for that. Thank you for all of your support, your love, your comments. I enjoy talking to you and replying to the comments all the time, so thank you for joining my little book community, and I'll see you on the next one.